And Donald Trump has been declared the clear winner of the Iowa caucuses. Iowa became the first American state to vote for a Republican nominee for president. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis claimed second place, giving his campaign an edge over former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. Joining me now is former chair of the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, Stephen Loosley. Hey there, Stephen. Thank you for joining us. So what do you make of the results and the voter turnout? As expected?
The result was as expected in terms of a Trump win, but it was comprehensive. There's no question about that. And the history of Republican Party caucuses and the like, this is a decisive win. And Donald Trump was determined not to repeat the mistake of 8 years ago, where he lost by a narrow margin, about 3 points, to Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. So the Trump campaign spent money. But more money was spent by Nikki Haley's campaign and by Governor Ron DeSantis. So you can say that Donald Trump earned the victory. In Republican Party terms, he is the dominant figure still. And sections of the Republican Party out in Iowa, particularly amongst evangelicals, tend to resemble a Trump cult. So it's on to New Hampshire and then Super Tuesday and the like. But I think you can say with a degree of anticipation, that we are heading in November for another rematch between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump.
So to what extent should we be factoring in another Trump presidency?
Well, it can't be discounted. I have my doubts as to whether or not Trump can put together an electoral majority in the states that matter, but he did it against Hillary Clinton. He's carrying a lot more baggage now. He has over 90 charges pending against him in different jurisdictions. And some of them are very serious, as people are aware, relating to the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol, the Mar-a-Lago documentations, alleged election interference in the state of Georgia, and so on and so forth. And there's an upcoming hearing where Trump has to face the court, where there are proceedings against him over defamation related to a sexual assault, an alleged sexual assault. So I suspect if we see these kinds of proceedings unfolding, and if there are convictions being recorded, Trump's numbers may be affected. To date, they haven't been. He's used the court cases as platforms. He's raised money. His numbers have increased amongst the Republican faithful. Bear in mind, some years ago, Trump made the comment that he could shoot someone dead on a street in New York City, and people would say, well done, Donald. That's been proven correct in terms of his numbers to date. Whether it holds true to November is an entirely different question.
And how will the campaign pan out for the other candidates?
Well, I suspect what we're seeing with both Governor DeSantis and Ambassador Haley, as they're looking at a situation where if Trump were run over by one of these cases, if he stumbled and fell, then one of them could step up and be the Republican candidate, or looking to 2028, where Trump unlikely to be involved in the nominating process. 2028, there is a need for a new Republican candidate. So I think they're looking at the what-if situations. I don't think either campaign seriously believes they can overtake Donald Trump in the current round of Republican primaries.
And what would a Trump win mean for Australia?
It's rather disquieting, to be honest. Let me give you a very brief example. Not so long back, there was legislation introduced into the United States Senate, bipartisan legislation. Senator Tim Kaine, Democrat of Virginia, who was Hillary Clinton's running mate, of course, and Senator Marco Rubio, Republican of Florida. And this was designed to make certain that in the event of a future Trump administration withdrawing from NATO, a two-thirds vote of the United States Senate would be required. That gives you some idea of the fears in the US Congress and elsewhere as to what a second Trump administration would look like. So the alliance would really come into a focus with Australia just as it would in a second Trump administration with the NATO powers, with Japan, Korea, and the like. I suspect it'd be very choppy water indeed.
Thank you so much for that. More instability up ahead. And that was Stephen Loosley, former chair of the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. I'm sure our ambassador in the US, Kevin Rudd, would have fun with should there be a Trump win.